Welcome to The Light, and today we're shedding light on a case out of North Carolina where a 34-year-old mother, Sierra Frederick, stabbed her 10-month-old infant son to death. Let's dive into the details. Sierra Frederick is 34 years old, and she is accused of allegedly stabbing her 10-month-old son to death, and she made her first court appearance this past Friday, March 27th, in County District Court. She may face the death penalty after being charged with first-degree homicide and 2 counts of assault with a deadly weapon. She appeared in what they call the cage in Buncombe County courtroom, and the judge immediately told her that she could face a death sentence or life without parole. It was around 2 p.m. on Thursday, March 26th, that the Buncombe County Sheriff's Office, the fire department, and county EMS responded to a stabbing call on Ricola Drive in Barnardsville. The Sheriff's Office said that when first responders first arrived on the scene, they found Sierra's 10-month-old son with multiple stab wounds. The baby was taken to Mission Hospital, where he passed away due to his injuries. The court records state that Sierra, quote, unlawfully, willfully, and feloniously did of malice aforethought kill and murder her son. Court records also indicate that the assault with a deadly weapon charges stem from Sierra assaulting another man with a fixed blade, chasing him down the driveway of the Ricola Drive property. Now, it doesn't say specifically, but one thing I am aware of is that she was living at that house with her current boyfriend, who happens to be the father of that baby. So that is not a fact of who that person was, but if I wanted to speculate, it's very possible that that's who that was. But it's not currently out in the documents. We will most likely hear that at her probable cause hearing. Sierra's family was in the courtroom listening and crying as they heard the hearing begin to unfold. It was reported the chief public defender for Buncombe County, Sam Sneed, who is serving as a liaison for the Capital Defender's Office in Sierra's case, says that he will be reviewing potential attorneys who will be qualified to take on this case because this is a first-degree capital murder case.
Your Honor, I believe we have Ms. Sierra Frederick up from the jail for her first appearance this morning.
Ms. Frederick, do you understand why you're here today?
She nodded, yes.
You have been charged with first-degree murder. If you are convicted of that charge, that's Class A felony, you could get the death sentence.
Because of the charges in this case, this is a no bond case, and she will remain behind bars. Her next court appearance is going to be on Thursday, April 16th, and it will be a probable cause hearing where evidence will be presented in the case. So at that point, I will get more details in the probable cause document, which I should be able to read out at that time. And, from my account, I like those documents because, again, we get all the information in that. Now, one thing you should also know on my channel is I really like to look into things and find out more information if I can. And I did in this case. I found some more information that gives some more insight into Sierra and her situation. I found some more court documents that are pretty revealing. So I would like to get into those. So the court documents that I found is going to reveal more about the custody, her mental health situation, and the relationship with the father of her first child. Before I get into that, I'm quickly going to show you some footage that I found on the news regarding this current situation with the 10-month-old son, just to give a little bit more insight to the situation.
We spoke with a neighbor familiar with the couple.
I just know that her and her boyfriend moved down here, I think, from Alabama. And she was pregnant then, and they was staying down here at my wife's uncle's place down here.
What do you think about what's unfolded, the death of a 10-month-old baby boy?
I don't really know what to think. I mean, it's just a bad situation. I don't understand what makes people do that. But
it strikes us to the core. Let me just say that. When I say strike us to the core, a 10-month-old deceased and at the hands of the mother.
An unimaginable loss, and this is where it happened. Crime scene tape surrounds the home. At the end of a long driveway, deputies keep the scene clear for their investigation. Sheriff Quentin Miller says that's dead.
This touches people in a different way, in a different manner. It touches us in a different way. And the fact that it touches us different, we must do different. I don't know that we take care or check on each other the way we did during the storm.
The pain and loss of this tragedy runs deep. A family and a community coming to terms with this. Those on Thursday's scene who were first to arrive hit especially hard too.
The Barnesville Fire Department, they responded. The EMS folks responded. And that's very challenging and tough on them. But it's also tough on my deputies, right? And so we're trying to set stuff up that they can go because we're concerned about their mental health.
So as I was going through social media and looking up more on Sierra, I found this on the county sheriff's office post about the story. And it is from her ex, which is the father of her first child. And their first child's about 7 years old right now. So it says, this woman was the mother of my child and due to have her first supervised visit in 36 hours. This could have been my daughter and they would have let it happen. Naturally, that pulled me in because what? Within that thread, we had this comment saying that John Chris is the father of this woman's 7-year-old daughter and has been arguing in court for years to get custody of his 7-year-old daughter to keep her away from her mother, the same woman that unalived her baby today. And just this week on Tuesday, this same mother was granted by the courts in South Carolina joint custody of his daughter. All along, John Chris has been telling the courts how crazy this mother is. This was even after the mother took the 7-year-old, who was at the time 4 years old, and ran to Alabama with her. But South Carolina court system is so hell-bent on mothers getting custody, it just goes to show you that sometimes dads are the better choice and should be listened to. God bless the dad of Enoch. I can't even imagine what he must be going through right now. I am just glad it's not my son, John Chris, and my granddaughter, who could have very easily been the victim having to go through it. And God bless John Chris for sticking to his guns and fighting for his daughter through all the hell he had to deal with. Maybe the courts will learn this time that the dads definitely should be listened to. So, boop, 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 I'm in the court system. Sierra has some history. She's got speeding tickets. She has some, property damage stuff. She's got a little history in there in court cases. Naturally, the worst ones are going to be the homicide charge and the fact that she has this assault with a deadly weapon, going after somebody, with this blade, most likely this other guy here. So I find this whole situation with the father that happened, and I'd like to read that to you because it is very enlightening. And it seems to be related to something I saw on social media with the father in this case, where he did at one point have to file a missing child report for his daughter because it seemed like she took custody of the child when she wasn't, like she had her, but then didn't return the daughter when she was supposed to on time. And she kind of just pieced out with her. So at that point it became kidnapping, right? Because her time was up. So let's read through this because let's just read through this. It says on September 20th, 2024 at approximately 7:12 p.m., I, Deputy G. Honeycutt, responded to a call for service regarding a welfare check at address. I'll redact that. I met the reporting party, John Christopher, who was worried about his 5-year-old daughter. John was supposed to meet the child's mother, Sierra Frederick, at the Henderson County Sheriff's Office for a custody exchange at 6 p.m. When Sierra didn't show up, John became concerned about the safety of his child. John then asked if we could do a welfare check on Sierra's address to ensure his daughter, I'm going to redact her name, was okay. Upon arriving at the residence, I knocked on Sierra's door, but no one was home. I then went to Sierra's mom's house. Next to Sierra's, I contacted Sherry Putnam, Sierra's mom, who advised that she last saw Sierra at 3 p.m. when she returned from the daughter's school. Sherry then stated that Sierra went to drop the daughter off with her father in South Carolina. Sherry then tried to call Sierra, but it went directly to voicemail. I then called Sierra and left a voicemail asking her to call me back. Sierra's mom was worried that she might have gotten hurt, so I asked Communications if they could contact Mission Hospital and Advent Health. Communications confirmed Sierra was not there. I then informed John that Sierra and his daughter weren't there. I advised John to talk to the courts in South Carolina to get an immediate custody order. That way, we would have something to enforce if his daughter and Sierra were located. John then mentioned that Sierra had a friend named Jordan Weed who watched his daughter from time to time. John then contacted me again with Jordan Weed's number. I called Jordan, and he stated that the last time he had heard from Sierra was earlier that day, and she was going to drop John's daughter off in Easley, South Carolina, where John lives. On September 21st, 2024, Jordan called back and had information regarding Sierra and John's daughter's whereabouts. Jordan stated that Sherry had called him and informed him that Sierra had left with John's daughter because she didn't want to give John's daughter to John, who she claims is a pedophile. John then called back on September 21st, 2024, and wanted his daughter to be entered into NCIC as a missing juvenile. Upon hearing this and knowing that Sherry might know the child's whereabouts, I called Sherry back. I called Sherry and informed her that I would be entering the daughter as a missing child and that she needed to tell me if she had any information. I informed Sherry that if she didn't tell me and I entered the daughter as missing, there could be charges for filing a false police report. Sherry's son then called me and said that he had heard from Sierra earlier, and today, on September 21st, 2024, he stated Sierra and the daughter were okay. I then asked if he was still in contact with her, and he said that she had called him from a strange number. I asked him to call her back and advise her to give me a phone call. Sierra called me and I informed her that I needed to do a welfare check on the daughter. Sierra stated that she didn't want to meet me because she was scared. I would take the daughter from her and give her to John. I advised Sierra that my only reason for being there was to make sure that the daughter was okay, and once that was established, I would leave. Sierra was still adamant that I was going to take her child away from her and did not want to meet. I then asked Sierra if she could take a photo of the daughter and her with the peace sign up to make sure that she was okay. Sierra agreed, then hung up the phone and sent me the picture of her and the daughter holding up a peace sign. I then called Sierra back and advised her that it would be best to see the daughter in person to verify that she was all right. I also informed her that John wanted a missing person report done on the daughter, and unless I could confirm in person that the daughter was okay, I would do a missing person report. Sierra then told me that the judge in charge of John's case about being a pedophile was new and didn't know what he was doing. I then advised her again and just wanted to confirm that the daughter was okay. Sierra then stated, I was part of a pedophile ring that was in the North Carolina and South Carolina law enforcement agencies and wanted to give the daughter back to her father, who Sierra claims is a pedophile. I informed her that I just wanted to make sure the daughter is okay. Sierra then told me she was doing what was best for the daughter and that she would not meet me or any other law enforcement officer because we were pedophiles. Sierra then stated that she had taken the daughter out of school to begin homeschooling her. Sierra continued getting increasingly aggressive on the phone until she hung up on me again. As Sierra has custody of the daughter, I could see through a photograph that the daughter was okay. The daughter was not entered into NCIC as missing. I have contacted the Child Department of Social Services about this case. Body-worn camera footage was captured and will be uploaded. I recommended this case for child DSS. I will say this, what is a little surprising and confusing to me. Even though a photo was seen that the child was with the mother and there was an assumption that they were okay, first of all, mental health wise, the mother's calling everybody, including law enforcement, just PDFs, right? That's a concern of mental health and that the child is probably not necessarily safe with that person. So there's a concern overall for the welfare of the child. Second of all, it was determined that the custody time was over for the child to be with that parent. So in that case, that's typically considered kidnapping at that point. So even if you determined that maybe they're not officially missing because you know who they're with, that is still considered kidnapping or missing. So I'm a little surprised that they wouldn't enter in a missing report in some form, or try to determine exactly where they are or get them, and not just refer them to the Department of Social Services. Because to me, if I'm looking at it, this is just my opinion. The child is with somebody who is not in a clear mindset, and the child is with somebody who no longer is supposed to have custody of them, and the father is trying to regain that custody and has asked authorities for help. With all of that said, John had gone to court and had been going for an emergency hearing to try to get all of the rights and custody back. And I will say this was proof that, thankfully, in this case, he was given full custody rights. And something that I like here is kind of in part number 4, it says that the plaintiff may, at his option and discretion, arrange for a full psychological evaluation of the defendant. If plaintiff opts for the defendant to be evaluated, he shall be responsible for the costs associated therewith. Plaintiff shall notify the defendant of the time and place of the evaluation, and the defendant shall comply and appear and participate in the evaluation. Failure of the defendant to appear for the full psychological evaluation and to participate in good faith could subject the defendant to a contempt action, which is honestly something that I think is really beneficial when it seems that there is a concern for mental health in this case. I just thought that gave us a little picture, some insight from her past as to what has gone on when it comes to parenting, mental health, and things she has gone through, to maybe see how that could correlate with what happened in this incident this past week. Now, what led to her getting her first supervised visit ordered that was supposed to occur with her daughter coming up, I don't know. I didn't see anything in those court documents, so I'm not sure where those were filed or if they haven't been updated, or what court system. It seems like there's maybe different states involved. However, it's concerning, obviously, and the only potential good part was that it was supposed to be supervised. But again, supervised could be, different people could be approved for that, and you might not have the best quote unquote supervised person that is allowed to be supervising, right? I think if anything, the father of that daughter is incredibly lucky. The daughter is incredibly lucky, and he will have full custody for her life, for her to be safe from this point forward. Unfortunately, the other father in this situation has had a grave loss. And it makes you wonder if there was anything in Sierra's previous history that could have had some warning signs or prevented this from happening. Hindsight's always 20/20. That's all I have for you on this one today. Please make sure that you are following me for more updates on this case and many others that I do cover. Please tap that heart. It helps greatly. Remember to be kind to one another, stay safe, and as always, I will see you all in the next one.